So it will be recording also, Mataji?
Yes, yes, correct. I'll just share the link with you so that you can just share with Neetu to just check if it is in our playlist.
Okay.
So what I'll do, send you the.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just shared the link in the chat. If you can just forward that to Neetu, that should be good. The Zoom chat. Save it.
Okay. I'll save it. Yeah.
Sure. So Hare Krishna, everybody, all ready, good to go?
Yes, Mataji.
So we will start 10th chapter. So what is very, very special about 10th chapter is 10th chapter is all an chapter, right? Yeah, and what is so special? 9th chapter, I told you that Krishna it's like a love letter, right? So here in the 10th chapter, it's an extension of the love letter. So what happens when you propose, right? You first generally write a text. So the 9th chapter gave the initial knowledge, and 10th chapter is talking about all opulences, right? You get in depth, right? What is his height? What is his weight? What can he do? What is his position? Where and all he has influence? How many companies he has? Right? This is how we normally connect to a person, or what she knows, what are the qualities she has, how much of talent she's got. All that will be exhibited in the extended version of that, right? So 9th chapter is more like a curriculum vitae, and the 10th chapter is more like an expansion, right? A broad outlook. Now, this broad is as per our definition of broad, but for Krishna, it's a very small particle which he is going to tell, because if we have to, if he has to explain his power, none of us will have time to hear, because one lifetime will not be sufficient. In fact, many lifetime will not be. So Krishna is just giving us a small glimpse of it, right? So that's his opulence. So we will dive into this chapter, and before that, let's start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopishu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimadi Bhaktin Vedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Rachadhari Narine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivachadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Come on, all of you. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Tell me if you're able to see the screen. Right. So, so this is what is about the opulence of the Lord. And before we start off with the presentation, let's pay our obeisances to Shishi Radha Govinda. Stop. Right? Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Sure. So let's have a quick glimpse of the 9th chapter, and we are talking about Shrunu, which means process of hearing. About Krishna's qualification, like how we need to hear more about Krishna, right? So that's going to be extended. And 9.4 to 10 is Aishwarya. Aishwarya actually means opulence, right? But that's just a glimpse. And also 11 to 15 we saw non-worshippers and worshippers. How it should be treated, what happens, and in Aishwarya we corrected Krishna's relationship with the material world. Here we will talk about in the material world what all is opulence. And 16 to 25, ultimately Krishna is the object of worship. Now 10, what happens is, now we are all talking about Krishna. Now in the material world, what is his position? Not just in the material world, but everywhere, even in the spiritual world, what is his original position? Like we are talking about where he started, like what happened. And 8 to 11 talks about Chatur Shloka. So what is Chatur Shloka? This is the most important shloka. Similar shloka is there in Bhagavatam, but it's not exactly the same. Here it is talking about Sambandha, Abhinaya and Prayojan. Right? In Bhagavatam, they talk more about cosmic manifestation extensions. Here they are talking about the relationship we have, the process of how we can reach Krishna, and ultimately the object is Krishna, right? So how do we reach Krishna? And 12 to 42, it appears to be like so many 31 slokas, but then it's all just in a matter of one moment, like 30 slokas we'll just see in one summary. So why is the need? So Lord Krishna says at the end of the 10th chapter, right? He says, just fix the mind on me. Manmana bhava matbhakto matyanji mam namashkuru. Okay, fine. But he, because of that, he says, he explains the opulence, because he says, okay, manmana bhava, that is, you fix a mind. Okay, but how? We always have this feeling, right? But why, we already know. That's why we have come to this chapter. If we were doubtful about why, we would have not come so far. But how is being answered by Krishna here. So he says in chapter 9, he says how is like, you have to become a pure devotee by focusing the mind on Lord. So we say, okay, we are willing to do that. We are fine with that. But how can we do? So he says, okay, let me explain the various opulence of Krishna. So when you look at these opulence, you will be able to relate to Krishna and you'll be able to fix your mind. So that's what we are going to connect. So the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, is what they have shown the picture here, and Krishna's position as the origin of everything. So can anyone tell me who was there before Krishna? Can you all unmute and tell? You all don't have to refer anything. Dimple, Sai, if you can just unmute and tell me any guess of who was there before Krishna? You have to be interactive. You have to tell me yes, no, I don't know. Some answer. Can you hear me, Dimple and Sai?
Yes, Mataji. Can you repeat the question again, Mataji?
Yes. Can you tell me who was there prior to Krishna? Before Krishna, who was there?
No one, I believe. Like he was
So, correct. No one was there, because if someone was there before Krishna, it means then he is God, right? So since nobody was there, Krishna is the ultimate person. And finally, Arjuna accepting it and then getting very curious to see the opulence. Always Arjuna's question will be the opening point, but here it's an extension point. So I hope you can see the screen. We are on to section A, 1 to 7. 1 to 3, anyone knowing Krishna? Now, who's Krishna? Krishna, though, is born in the... so you tell me, where was Krishna born? Where's Krishna born? Hare Krishna, can you unmute? Yeah, so Krishna was born in the prison, right? But it appears as if he was born, but then to Devaki and Vasudev. But here, actually speaking, he was not born, right? He is never born. And he is the source of not just us, but for all the sages and the demigods, which we have seen earlier also, right? From chapter 4, we've been seeing. So all qualities and attitudes are always created by Krishna, right? So whoever knows this very clearly, what happens? Automatically, they'll fall in love with Krishna, which means knowing service. Now, 10.1 is a beautiful picture. Can anyone tell me, okay, two things. Who would like to read and who would like to narrate the shloka? Now, before that, can anyone tell me from the picture, who is here, the one on the left, and who is this on the right?
The left side is Arjuna, right side is Duryodhana.
Very nice. So where are we? Where do we belong?
Like, I didn't get you, Mataji.
So where are we at? See, this is Arjuna. Okay, and this is Duryodhana. So where do we fall? Where are we? We are this side or we are on the other side?
We are on the left side.
We want to be on the left side, but we are actually not as yet on the left side, right? So where is the main problem we have is, at least we know that we want to be here, but somewhere if you see, most of us are somewhere in this position. Okay, we are like not exactly Duryodhana, but somewhere halfway through, right? So we are actually, the entire Bhagavad Gita, and this picture can actually depict our entire thing, that we have to slowly navigate everything, right from our quality, attitude from here to Arjuna, right? Because that's what we want to be. So the Supreme Lord said, my dear friend, mighty armed Arjuna, listen again to my supreme word, which I impart to you for your benefit and which will give you great joy. Now, every time you'll be wondering why Krishna is talking about himself in Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is telling that this is for your benefit and it is going to give you great joy. Now, let's see the thing. Right, you will also have a similar thing in the chapter 14, which we will discuss when we come there. But right now, since we are in chapter 10, I would like to tell that 7, 9, and 10, everything is about Krishna. If you see, the first 7 chapter talks about various energies, right, and how they are acting. So this is one. Just as to add the process is 7 chapter. 9 chapter also he's talking about the various energies only. Why is he telling that? He's explaining so that the devotion becomes very firm, right? It becomes like a very strong conviction. That is what we saw in the 9th chapter. And here in the 10th chapter, right? Because 9th chapter, we saw the most confidential knowledge. If you see the chapter name itself is that, right? Most confidential knowledge. And chapter 10 gives more confidential knowledge of some specific opulence. Now, 9th is more general, right? He is talking about devotional service and all. But 10 is how can you relate? So if I see the moon, how do I relate? If I see the sun, what do I relate? So all that. So if you start seeing, you will understand. And all the processes, 3, 7, 9, and 10 talks about Shunu, which means hearing, right? So qualification is hearing, right? So the most important question which you will get for your exam also is, hearing. And I hope you are already active on your quiz, because your certificate and all that is dependent on this, right? Discourses in the society of devotees, okay, all this take place, everything is with Shru. Hare Krishna. Who would like to chant? If anybody want to chant, who wants to read, if you can tell me, or else, I can go ahead chanting and you all can read, or I can explain. Anybody like to chant? Hare Krishna. I'll start, but you all tell me if you want to, you can raise your digital hand. Hare Krishna. Name vidu suragana Prabhavam Namahashayah Aham Adiri Devanam Mahashinam Cha Sarvashah. Hare Krishna. Krishna is telling that nobody knows, no, neither the demigods nor the sages. Nobody actually knows my origin, right? Because Krishna is so special and he is not. Just see this link 10.2 here. Krishna is telling nobody knows, and finally Arjuna will tell, yes, you are right, nobody knows. That will come in the subsequent chapter. So just remember the 10.2. Now, not chapter, subsequent verse today. 10.3. So he says, whoever knows me, right, as not physically born, right? Many people, who are atheists believe that, oh, Krishna is born. He was also born, so maybe he's one of us. No. He is unborn. That is why he says Ajam, which means unborn, and he is absolutely no beginning. No beginning means in our relative birth, there is a start, right? So the school starts at a particular time and ends at a particular time because it's relative time. But in spiritual world, time is Krishna, right? So there is no beginning or end. And 10.45, Hare Krishna. Buddhi Jnanam Aso Moha Sama Satyam Dama Samaha Sukham Dukkam Bhavo Abhavo Bhayam Chavyam Evacha Ahimsa Samata Tusti Stapodanam Yasho Yashah Bhavanti Bhava Bhutana Mateva Pratadvidaha. Hare Krishna. Would you like to read, anybody would like to read the English part of it here? These are the various qualities he's talking about.
Yes, Mataji, I can read.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of senses, control of mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, peace, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right? So intelligence talks about buddhi, the power to analyze things in their proper perspective. When you analyze is what they're talking about. So all these qualities you already know. So I'm not going to highlight much, but broadly they talk about all this, which is what we are seeing. Right? Freedom from doubt means you have complete clarity. You don't blindly accept. Even our culture, you don't just come and tell, okay, they're telling and we're going to accept. No, you do enough research and you understand Bhagavad Gita is from where? From the discipline succession. So who's the first person who taught Bhagavad Gita? It was Krishna. We saw, right, Evam Parampara Praptam, which we saw in the 4th chapter. So therefore, Krishna is the first person. And Prabhupada is coming in the same discipline, succession. He is the 32nd Guru in the same parampara is Prabhupada. And he is talking about tolerance. Do you also remember tolerance came in the 2nd chapter? Matras Pashtastu Maunteya Sitoshtu Sukha Dukkadaha Agama Paino Nitya Sthamtati Shashva Bharata. So you have to tolerate, he's saying, right? So it's coming. And it's talking about various qualities like controlling senses, controlling the mind, happiness and sadness. All these qualities are being analyzed. Birth, death, it's continuing. Fearlessness, non-violence and all that. Many of them keep telling Bhagavad Gita promotes non-violence. No. Can you see how many times Krishna keeps telling Yuddha, Yuddhasya, Yuddhaya, right? So he is not talking about non-violence. He is only talking about dharma, right? Which is the right and thing to do. Hare Krishna. Mahashaya Sapta Purve Chatvaro Manavastata Madhava Manasayata Yesham Lokaima Prajaha. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please read this.
The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus are born out of my mind, and all creatures in this planet descend from them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's very clearly telling the four great sages are. Do you all know who are the 4 great sages he's talking about?
Sons of Brahma.
Very nice, amazing. Sons of Brahma, Sanat Kumaras, right? They are called. They and the Manus, right? We are seeing 14 Manus, and Manu Samhita came from them, and they are all born from my mind. So he's saying they are originally from there. All of them descend from me. So he's talking about the father. So now Brahma is called the father. So therefore, Krishna is the father of the father. So he's called the grandfather. Prapitha Maha means father of the grandfather, right? Because Brahma is called the grandfather, and he's the father. So great grandfather is what? Krishna is. So we saw, right, the four, who are all 25 characters who have come. The four Kumaras, you said so correctly. Sanaka, Sanata, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. 7 sages. These are very famous sages. Kashyapa, Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Gautam, Jamadagni. Jamadagni is the father of, anyone knows?
No, Mata.
Of
No, I don't know.
Arjuna. Jamadagni is the father of Arjuna. Okay. And 14 Manus, all of you all know about the Manu, and currently we are at the first one is Vaimbu Manu, and currently we are at Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata Manu is the 7th Manu. That's where we are. So this is a picture. Can anyone tell me, can you tell me where was this picture shot? While you are thinking, I'll just do the chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Tam Vibhutim Yogam Cha Mama Yometi Tatvatah So Vikalpena Yogena Yujyate Natra Samshayah. Hare Krishna. You know, this is the picture when the two, this Krishna and Balram, they are just entering the Mathura. This is when they're 11 years. They are being called by Kamsa with the idea of killing them. So now, if you see the eye contact wherever they are people, right? If you see, they are from, some of them are here, some of them are standing in the balconies. This is a very beautiful chapter, the first canto, where everybody are maintaining eye contact with Krishna. They are like literally falling in love with Krishna, so they keep watching. So it's a beautiful thing. So with that, we are talking about Krishna, right? Where is the source and all that. Now, 10th chapter is going to talk about the Chatur Shloka. So let's see, what does he say, and what are all the things which he's created. Hare Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam budabhava samanvitaha. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please read this.
I am the source of all the spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who knows this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna.
So very clearly what he says is he's the source, right? So this starts about the Samantha. Samantha means, where do I come from? And what is the relationship for me with the person where I come from? So why do we have Samantha? It means like, okay, I come from my mom at a very material level. And what do I have? The Samantha between mom and me, mom and child, right? Likewise, what is the, I come from Krishna. So what is the relationship I have and what I originally do? So that's the Sambandha. And Krishna is the source of both spiritual and material words. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarva pravartate. That's what he's talking about. And what is the point? Why should I know this? How does it matter? Because when you know that Krishna is your great-grandfather or the origin, you worship Krishna with all your heart. You will be doing devotional service and you will be going to surrender. Only when you know he is more powerful, you will surrender. What happens? How do you treat a person when you are working or in your school? You're scared of your principal, but you're not bothered about the peon, right? Okay, you may be good that you may consider, and you may be human, that you may not insult him, but you're not scared of the peon because you know the principal has the power. So you will tend to surrender. You won't went to fight. So you need to know the power of Krishna at this level. When you're in prema, it's okay. You don't care. You don't want to know the power. But at this point in time, we are at a very initial stage, right? So now let's see the Anubhava. That means the process, right? So let's see that. Hare Krishna. Machitta madhyata pranam bodayante parasparam kadayanti cha mam nityam dushtanti cha ramanti cha. Okay, how do I do? Okay, is the source. I have to surrender. And what should I do about it? So 10.9 tells us. The thought of, please go ahead and read.
The thought of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me.
So if two devotees meet, what will they talk? They will not talk, hey, where can I buy lipstick? Oh, your bindi is nice. Yeah, they may tell more than appreciation, thought. But then their idea will be is to talk about Krishna. They keep talking. They enjoy. Ramanti means they relish in that conversation, and they have so much of Krishna. Sorry. try and see. Share sound.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
So imagine everybody, you know what happens most of the time? Most of the time, people and all the gurus, Maharajas, sannyasis become famous because they promise material. They say that, okay, you do this puja, all this karma kanta activities, you will be benefited. I'm going to give you this jewelry, or you will get gold, or your business is going to become twice the size. But when it comes to Prabhupada, he never made any such promise. And people followed. If you see people abroad, never had any discipline. We are all aware of it, right? Because that too hippies. They will drink, they will smoke, illicit sex. For them, sex was like normal. They will probably take it as casual as we eat or we drink water. And such people gave up all this and came. So you can imagine how much of happiness they would be having in the spiritual life, right? So symptoms of a pure devotee, Krishna becomes his life and soul, and he constantly hears about and discusses Krishna. For a pure devotee, why are we telling that? Initially, we have to do it as sadhana, but once you get it, so there are two stages. That is the initial stage, right? So they relish the pleasure of service. That is the initial stage, right? So that is they look for service, and they enjoy it when the service comes. But the mature stage, they are always in love for Krishna, and thus they are so perfect that they are so sure to reach Krishna's abode, right? That's how their thoughts are always with Krishna. Their life is fully dedicated to Krishna, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss. Now, going on to 10.10 and 10.11, it talks about prayojan, which means ultimate goal. Tesham satata yuktana bhajante priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam cha ena mamupayanti te. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please read this.
Those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding.
They can come to me. So beautiful. Now we all have clueless. Level 2, okay, we are interested. That's why we come to level 2, but we don't know the right way to go. Right? So Krishna is telling that if you are in love with me, that's good enough. I will tell you how you can come. Now there are various processes. We saw karma yoga. That is, how do you do when one knows the goal is Krishna, but he is still addicted, right? Goal we all know, but it's starting trouble, right? We still want jnana. We know the goal is Krishna, but still I will be breaking my head. I'm mentally speculating to understand whether he's light or whether he's personal feature. I want to analyze a lot. And Buddhi Yoga is also called Bhakti Yoga, where the goal is Krishna, the path is Krishna, and the start is also Krishna, right? He is acting in devotional service. This is a complete highest yoga factor. So this is what is well explained here. So sometimes when people are involved in Bhakti Yoga, they are so involved that they automatically get jnana. And I will give you a live example in a minute after I finish this. Hare Krishna. Tesham ena yevanukam partam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhashvata. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Out of passion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of the knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Anybody? Hare Krishna. Can anyone tell me this picture? What has happened? So Krishna is telling that, okay, if you have darkness, right, ajnana, without lack of knowledge, right, I will, wake them up with the light of knowledge. Can you tell me the first picture? What is it? Okay, all this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. The first picture is about Parikshit, yeah, you know Parikshit, right? Arjuna's grandson, that is Abhimanyu's son. He is going to die in 7 days, and that's when the entire Srimad Bhagavatam comes out, where Sukadev Goswami is explaining to Parikshit about how and why, and the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is explained. This is one. And here, Kardama Muni and Devotee have a child. Who is that child? Is Kapila. Kapila is incarnation of Krishna. Now, what happens is Kapila is explaining to his mother Devotee as to how about God and all that. It's the third chapter. He explains the birth. Did you all see the video? If you all have not seen, I can show you, but I'm sure you would have seen the 18 days, right? The birth video. How the process of delivery happens. CT scan and all we are seeing now. But so many years back itself, they had invented CT scan, right? How? There was no CT scan, but they predicted even without CT scan so correctly about the entire process. And we're talking about the next thing. Here, this is final stage where this is Uddhava who looks like Krishna, and Krishna is tired, finishing his pastime and returning to Goloka. And in the 11th chapter, what happens? 11th verse, Lord is talking about removing, right? He's personally bringing the light and destroying. So I said, I'm going to share this experience, right? So we have been having this, where they take the deity, the road, or, they take the deity out, and the vehicle to accommodate the deity was small that the deity could not fit in. So instead of taking the deity at 10 o'clock, they had to take at 12. It was so hot, right? So for a moment I said, there were 2-3 cloths. So I said, why don't you cover? Because it's so hot. Nobody understood. They said, no, it's difficult. We can't take it. It's prohibited and all that. But that guy over there who was who was not even coordinating, who was a helping boy, right? He would max be like 19-20 years. And I don't think he would be greatly educated. Sorry, I'm being judgmental here, because he was actually doing the work, right? He was doing the labor work of cleaning the truck and all that. There were a lot of educated people, so-called. There were a lot of talented guys. But he understood, and he came and told, you don't have to worry, because I can actually put a shield on the top. I have a raincoat shield, right? So when you carry an umbrella, he says, I have a windshield kind of a thing which I will open, right? So this jnana, right? This kid would have not gone to, probably, he would have not understood. He may not have been educated, and he won't be able to understand, right? So typically, imagine a normal child, what? Your deity only know what's going to happen. As if heat is going to break. What's a big deal? But look at the jnana, and he could read. He could understand that, we are wondering and we are worrying that the God is going to be in heat. And he immediately came with an idea. This is what is called jnana dipenda. That we have a shield. Maybe they use it for different reasons. Maybe they use it when it's raining. But he said, I will open that shield so that there will be shade for God. So beautiful. And this is called jnana dipena, right? So he doesn't have knowledge. He doesn't have practice. He was not instructed, but Krishna gave him that intelligence. So now going to the third section, which is 12 to 18, Arjuna accepts Krishna's position. So beautiful shloka this is. And he just accepting, we will tell, oh, what's a big deal? Arjuna is always in love with Krishna. But Krishna is not just a relationship between Arjuna, which Krishna is talking about, or Krishna and Arjuna. But Arjuna is telling that not me, but many people are also going to do. The first 4 lines are Arjuna's prayers. And the next 4 lines are testimony which Arjuna is giving. So when we tell you the next batch is coming, please forward. Why do you forward? Why we expect you to forward? Because when you tell that this the class is good, people will join, because me telling, it's like representing ISKCON Mangalore. But if you tell, you're like practically someone who's experienced, right? So he's going to say that. Hare Krishna. Arjuna vacha param brahma parandama pavitram paramam bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam adidevam majam vibhum ahusnam rishaya sarve devarshi naradattada asito devalo vyasa swayam chaiva barivishi me. So Arjuna is saying, Param Brahma, you're the biggest, you're, ultimate person, you're permanently there, you're eternal, and you're divyam, that is transcendental, above the 3 words, right? And Adi Devam, we said, no, nobody is there before Krishna. Ajam, not born, right? So all this unborn, and Vibhu means Vibhutis, right? All pervading. He says this as a prayer. In fact, you can also learn and you can use this for prayer. And Ahuswam Rishe, Sarve Devashir, Narada, Asito, Devalo, Vyasa, all of them. And now you're also saying the same. So that's what he's saying. So all these are the qualities which we Krishna saw. And 10.7 he says that how you should meditate, right? So he's asking, these are questions, right? We can't put the entire Bhagavad Gita about questions. So he's asking, how do I meditate? And he's telling, tell me again your potencies, right? I want to hear from you. Can you please tell me? Because I'm never satiated. Satiated means saturated. If I give you one gulab jamun, you'll like. 2, you'll enjoy. 3, you'll relish. 4, you'll get little bored. 6th one, you'll feel heavy. 10th one, you'll puke. Right? So you get satiated. But here, Krishna is telling, Arjuna is telling Krishna, I'll never be satiated. So what is the advantage? Hearing automatically increases memory. We also do not study the same thing again and again, you remember, and that helps you to think of Krishna all the time. He is never satiated by hearing at all, right? Thus you can relish the nectar. Why Arjuna wants to hear is very important reason, because Arjuna already knows, there's no doubt. But this entire thing is because for the sake of the common man, right? 16th chapter. And for people who are materialistic, right? They'll be telling, okay, Krishna is Ajam, he's just born. So he's, it's just for them. And Arjuna also wants to have that, the joy of hearing, right? Again, one more round, and to taste the nectar. He wants more and more because he will relish that. Now you see, oh my God, we've done only 18, 19 shlokas. So we'll see 18 shlokas, 19 to 42 shloka, which is going to randomly cover. So what happens is various opulence will be covered here, but the important ones, right? So let me just open this picture. Before that, I will read this, chant this one. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hanta Dekati Hanta Dekataishtami Divyahatma Vibhutayah Radanyatah Purushreshta Nastanto Vistarasya May. Hare Krishna. Yeah, read now.
The blessed Lord said, yes, I'll tell you of my splendorous manifestation, but only those which are prominent. O Arjuna, for my opulences is limitless.
He says, I'm going to tell you, but only the ones which are prominent, I'm going to tell you. There's no way I'm going to give you a complete picture, right? So now he is talking about that. And before that, let's go to the Excel sheet later. But before that, I want you all to tell me from the picture whatever you all know. So let me just, oh Krishna, let me just point the finger and you tell me who each character is. Can you see the pointer? Let me see if I can have a bigger picture. It's not there. Not. Let me just short the pointer from the current slide. Who's this? Who's this person who's lying down like this?
Vishnu.
Perfect, Vishnu. And who's this cute little boy?
Krishna.
One with Veena.
Narad Muni.
Garuda.
Bird. Garuda. Very nice. Who's this four-headed person?
Brahma.
Brahma. And the one next to him?
Shiva.
Perfect. Here? Brahma. It's not very clear.
Buddha.
Buddha. Perfect. Buddha. Okay. And who is this person? Where's my cursor gone? I have found my cursor. Yeah. Who's this green color handsome boy who lived in the previous yuga?
Ram.
Yes, Ram. Perfect. And can you tell me who's this? What is his name of the elephant?
Airavat.
Sorry?
Airavat.
Airavat. Correct. And this horse?
Uchashrava.
Utishva. Perfect. So these two came during the churning of the milk ocean. And what is this? Okay, this one, right? The Shiva's thing. And who's this person?
Indra.
Indra. And what is he holding in the hand?
Vajra.
Exactly, Vajra. Right. So let me just now go one after the other. Who's the small little boy?
Prahlad.
Sorry, Prahlad. Correct. And who's this uncle? Baba. Who wrote Mahabharata?
Vedavyas.
Vedavyasa. And who's this smart second hero?
Arjuna.
Arjun, amazing. And what is this fish? Can you guess what the fish is?
It's a shark.
Yes, it's a shark. And who is this handsome, very good-looking boy who is sitting on the, what is this? Peacock. He's the military general for the demigods.
Kartikeya.
Yeah, Kartikeya is called Skanda. Both are same. And who's this very nice, different-looking guy with a red thread? Rope. Can you guess? Or I'll move to the next guy. Who's this guy? Everybody is scared of.
Yamaraj.
Yeah, he's Yamaraj, and this person is Varuna. Right? Varuna is in charge of all the rains. This one is a lion, you all know this. And who's this person who's in charge? Who's a banker for demigods?
Kubera.
Sorry?
Kubera.
Kubera, perfect. So these are the characters. Krishna, sorry. And down, can you see the huge snake? Yeah, so Vasuki. That's it. We are done. We are done with the 30 shlokas straight away. 21 to 38 shlokas are done. So what Krishna is telling is, among the Vishnu, among the Adityas I am Vishnu, among the light I am sun, because sun is very powerful, right? And among the Maruts I am Maruchi. What is Marus? Is the wind, right? There are 7 kinds of wind which blows in different direction. So Maruchi is a very powerful one. Now among the stars I am the moon. This one you can see in Chaitanya also. He says very clearly all the stars around are there, which are smaller stars, and moon is the biggest star. And Chaitanya is the sun. And sun and moon are considered as the eyes of Krishna. So among the Veda, what are the 4 Vedas which are there? We have studied this in some 4th standard or 5th standard.
Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda,
Yeah?
and I don't know the other one.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Samaveda, because Samaveda is supposed to be very sweet in a poetic form. So that's why it's Samaveda. Among demigods, he calls himself Indra, because you all know Indra is the king, right? Head, and he's also called Yagnapurusha. Vishnu is also Yagnapurusha, so is Indra. Among the senses, he says mind. Why? Now all of you are coming with a dedication for the class, but mobile is there. We are so tempted, we are looking. Just like how I'm looking at the watch or the mobile, if it's there, we get tempted. So sometimes I keep the mobile away like today. But if the mobile is there, we have the tendency, right? Because we don't want to do, but the mind takes control. Among the living being, we are the conscious, right? The life force. Among Rudra, we are Shiva. And among the Yakshas and Rakshasas, we are Kubera. Kubera comes under the Yakshas family. And among the priests, you know that Brihaspati is the priest, right? So he says, among the priests, I am Brihaspati. And among the general, I am Skanda. Among the water bodies, we have the ocean, and among the sages, he says, I am the Bhrigu. And Bhrigu, you would have known the Bhrigu Muni, right? And why does he call himself Lord of Body? I'll come to the ocean. And vibration Om. Om is Akaram, Ukaram, Makaram. A represents Krishna, U, Radharani, and M as Jiva. And among the chanting, Japa, right? We are doing Hare Krishna mantra every day. So that's one. So there are 2 mountains, one movable and non-movable. Immovable, the one which is fixed, is the Himalaya. And among the tree, he is talking about the holy fig, Ashwatha. And among the sages, Narada is great. And singers, you would have all heard, Chitraratha. And among the perfect siddhis, we just read Kapila, right? I showed you the picture where he's explaining to, and he's a incarnation of Krishna. And he is so perfect. That's what he's talking about. Horse, you both told. Horse and elephant, right? Airavat and Uchai Strava. So these 2 you told. Krishna. And monarch means king. Among men, he is calling king because king is a representative. Any leader is a representative. He absorbs 6% of the karma. Why should the leader be excellent? Rama was an excellent leader. Yudhishthira was an excellent leader. No problems were there. But the king is supposed to be a representative of Krishna, right? So that is what we are talking about. Among weapons, you all told Vajra, right? It was the most powerful one. Among the cows, we have Surebi, and Kamadhenu also will come in the category. Among procreator, who's the creator? Our hero, that is, Cupid comes there. Among serpents, it's Vasuki. And among the snake, it's Ananta. Ananta is right with the hood. So snake is the one with the hood. And aquatic deity, we all know. Aquatic, Arjuna, and our departed souls, where do they go? Prithviloka. Who's the head of that? Aryana. And dispenser of law, though we don't like Yama, he is supposed to be the exalted devotee of Krishna because he gives exact nyaya as to who deserves what. And Prahlad comes from a demonic family. You see Hiranyakashipu's son, right? So he is from the deity demon. That group is called deity demon. Subduer means time, right? Because time can really control past, present, future, everything is time. Beast, we've all read this in first standard, right? Lion is the king of the jungle. That is what Krishna is telling. Among birds, Garuda. Among purifiers, wind. Because even the abominable quality and smell it can remove. Wielders of weapon, Rama. We all know Rama. The greatness about him. Among the fishes, he is a shark, and among the flowing water, I don't know, still water and flowing water. Flowing water is talking about Ganges. And he says among creation, beginning also, middle also, end also, because he started even prior. Among science, he says spiritual science. He doesn't tell PhD, he says spiritual science. And among the logicians, the truth, right? The absolute truth. Letters, any beginning, right? A is the beginning, A is the beginning. So he says he is the beginning, and compound words. They are quite like Hare Krishna, or rather Ramakrishna. They are two compound words which both of them have same powerful meaning. Among creators, we all know Brahma is the creator, and among women, he says that he represents the qualities of a woman, which is fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, faithfulness, and patience. These are the qualities of women. So many times they'll say that Krishna is not talking about women. Yes, he's talking. He's just saying all the main qualities of the women. He's there. And in the Samaveda, Brihat is very sweet. So he says he's that. And in Gayatri, among poetry, he says Gayatri. And months, he says November and December. And season, he's talking about spring. And among the cheats, he says gambling. And also what he says is strength. Right? Among the strong person, he says he's the strength. And whoever in the Vishnu, because Vishnu dynasty, he's talking about Vasudha, the Vasudeva. Vasudeva is Vishnu dynasty, right? Vasudeva is Krishna's dad. And Pandavas, he's telling Arjuna. He says Arjuna is so perfect. And among the sages, he says Vyasa. We saw this earlier also. Right? We also saw in the picture. And Usana, among thinkers, Usana. Who's Usana? Usana is Sankaracharya. Sorry, not Sankaracharya. Sukracharya. Sukracharya is the demon's boss, right? Priest. So that's only Ushana. And among punishment, he is chastiser, right? He punishes. Among victory, he is the morality. Among the secret, he says, Krishna says in the silence. Because silence is the best secret. Among the wise, he is the wisdom. So we covered typically all of this. And technically, we are done. See, I told you, in 5 minutes, we'll cover this. And 10.39 is further, oh Arjuna, he's saying that. He's concluding. He's saying, I am the seed of all existence. Bijam. And there is no being moving or non-moving that exists without me. It says everything, whether it's a tree or a rock, I am only there. So everything involves Krishna. And he says, oh mighty Arjuna, there is no end to my divine majesty. So there's not going to end. You want to hear my opulence, I have to go on and on and on, and you'll be sitting here and hearing, and so will you all, right? So know that all appotent, beautiful and glorious creation is just a splendor, right? It's just one mark. So what he's telling is everything is a tiny thing. Attendance is there. I request you all to mark. This is very small. Yat vibhuti mat sattvam shrimadurjitam eva va tattad eva vagachatvam mama tejamsa sambhavam mama tejamsa. That means spiritual spark of me. So Krishna is telling that the whole thing is just my part, right? And we saw this also. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavi astini suni chaiva swapakeva pandita samadarshinaha. 5th chapter. We saw this, right? The great guy sees everyone equally. So he's explaining the same thing. Hare Krishna. Ata va bahunaitena kinyatena tabhajuna vishtabhyaham idam krishnam ekamshena stito jagat. Saying, hey Arjuna, what is the need for you to know the detailed knowledge? Because with a single fragment, I can prevail and do everything. I'm so powerful and I can do. So why do you want to know? So what is the conclusion is from Krishna, everything is emerging. Sun, everything, whatever you see, everything is there. And how do we concentrate? By focusing on the opulence. So when you get up and look at the sun, you know, oh, this is Krishna. When you drink water, oh, this is Krishna. We saw the great taste of water in 7th chapter. And he says, this is how you will achieve this supreme perfection. And so coming back to a quick summary, we saw Krishna as the position of everything. We saw 4 shlokas which talks about Sambandha, Abhinaya and Prayojan and accepting Krishna, and the various opulence is all explained here. So with this, we will conclude the chapter. Hare Krishna. This 11th chapter is the best chapter I have loved, but 10 is like, creating some visual graphics before we see them tomorrow. 11th chapter, don't miss, it's like a video, and 10th chapter is theory. I also would need one help, and there are some of the devotees who are not been attending. Is it possible if Mohandas Prabhu shares the contact number with you all? Not many, just 5, 6. Is it possible for you to just give a call and check what's happening and why they are not coming? Dimple and Sai, will you be able to do that?
Yes, Mataji. I'll
Yes.
tell.
Thank you so much. Mohandas Prabhu, will you do that? Will you be able to share the data with them so that
Yeah, I'll get it in.
they can really figure out what it is?
Sure.
Because it will be nice if you all tell, because I'm so happy you all are here because you're enjoying the session. And I'm sure
Like I and Sainidhi are joined in one device only.
sorry?
I and Sainidhi joined in the same device only.
Yeah. Sai Srishti and Sai Nidhi, both of them are joined on the same device.
Same idea. Yeah. No, that's fine. Not about you all, but I'm just generally talking about this.
Because they're very
Overall
committed.
about the
My 3
others.
of them are very
So we'll
committed.
give you extra. Yeah. So you all have been so dedicated, and thank you so much for that. And I hope you all are enjoying the session, aren't you?
Mataji.
Yes? Okay. Hare Krishna. So don't miss the next chapter. 11th chapter is complete visuals. Today is theory, right? Shunu, you will see video. I'm not going to play a video, but Krishna is going to exhibit visuals of Vishwarupa. So we will meet again next week. And before that, I would like to play a video for you. I'll end the session and then I'll play the video. Vancha kalpa darubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ananta koti vaishnava jai Srila Prabhupada jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama.